Prices soaring, and Democrats now getting blasted for trying to do a do-over the Mueller probe by bringing in former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks to testify. Hicks is now the Executive Vice President and Chief Communications Officer for Fox Corporation. Let's bring in Republican Representative Steve Chabot. Sir, you were on House Judiciary Committee today where Hicks testified. What happened in that room?
Well, she was asked a lot of questions. To be honest with you, it was a big waste of time and taxpayer money. She'd already testified twice before Congress, and this is really harassment of President Trump and former staff and current staff. And there's a lot of other things that I think Congress ought to be focusing our time on and the taxpayers' dollars on, rather than endless investigations on something that's really already been determined.
Well, Jerry Nadler is still saying he may file a subpoena in court to get Hope Hicks to testify. Your take on that?
Well, he'll probably do it, and there'll be a party line vote, and they'll move ahead with it, and then it'll get sent over to the courts, and then the courts will spend months and months. Again, taxpayer money there. Taxpayer money is everywhere involved in this. You know, I reserved my judgment on whether there was Russian collusion and whether there was obstruction of justice and all that until the Mueller report came back. The American taxpayer spent millions of dollars on that over 20 months, and the Mueller report essentially said no Russian collusion, and then the Attorney General said no obstruction of justice. Democrats just won't let this go. They hate this president, and in essence, their base is pushing them in the direction of impeachment because they do hate him so much. And unfortunately, the it's a faux impeachment is what it is. It's a fake impeachment. What they're doing here is they're doing all these hearings and continuing to investigate stuff that's already been investigated, again, at taxpayer expense. And so they're acting like they're going ahead with an impeachment, but they know the public is not there. So the odds of them doing it or not, most of us don't think they'll actually go through with it because they're not going to be successful in removing this president from office. We'll all have an opportunity next November, a year from this November, and the American people will elect a president, either this one or somebody else. But they're going through the motions here, and again, they're spending money like hand over fist. There are things that we ought to be focused on that are real issues. Things like the fact that 145,000 people came illegally into the country last month alone. Why don't they look at that?
Congressman, thank you so much for your time, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for having us in your homes. Thanks for putting up with my scratchy voice. Hope it gets better for you by tomorrow night. Thank you so much for watching. Lou Dobbs is next, right here on the Fox Business.